really popular belief nowadays seems to be believing in something, but not really knowing yet in what. Maybe it's you who doesn't feel connected to books that are thousands of years old, where people turn water to wine or talk through burning bushes to God, and you wouldn't align your principles of life around it. That there is simply nothing that explains or exists with us, our soul, or our universe can't be possible either. That you die and everything you ever knew, felt, thought, and wanted loses full worth as the thing called you dissolves into nothingness, which seems so unreal that you can't even imagine not existing. But heaven and hell, places where you stay after you die for the rest of the universe, in which this rest appears to be infinite, seem even scarier than not existing. Even if you land in heaven, the best food, most appealing clothes, and the nicest people there mean nothing if it doesn't stop. What did you live for then, when you can have it all there all the time? Why would you want to have it if you can have it tomorrow, or the day after, or every day forever? Should you be afraid of dying after all, or is there a way out? In ancient Greek history, philosopher Plato developed the term of a world soul in one of his earlier works. In his late work, The Laws, he states that this world soul is the reason for all movement in nature and holds the principle of a reason that lies in the cosmos. He seems to be the predecessor of a belief called Pantheism, which is what I want to talk about now. British philosopher John Toland created the belief in 1917 in the Age of Enlightenment, as well as Baruch de Spinoza, whose Spinozism and Pantheism were often used as synonyms, and who placed nature and God as the same. In modern times, Albert Einstein was filled with pantheistic beliefs. He even labeled himself as a Spinozist and confessed to a cosmological religion. Although pantheism is often misinterpreted as atheism, it is rather an alternative to atheism as well as the other world's religions, and it is not spoken of no God in the universe, but God as the universe. But besides equating God and nature, I see more of an explanation for us in it. As long as humanity could afford thinking about anything besides food and shelter, they occupied themselves with the sense of life and the existence of our soul. And other than the sense of life, which is either non-existent or the one you gave yourself, the fact we have a soul or a spirit that lets a person be him or herself, perceive and observe his or her surroundings for their own, have thoughts, opinions, and self-consciousness, is nothing we can prove or explain. We don't know what lets us exist, and we won't, because it is not something you can grasp, not something you can see or feel. You can't even think about it. You can just perceive the consequences of having a soul, which is to be yourself. This is where God has its position in the universe. God is not someone who judges people based on what sins they have done, not an almighty omniscient man who sits on a throne in heaven, not anyone, but anything. It is the consciousness of our universe, and its soul at the same time, and it is my spirit and yours too. Our consciousness and soul are that one thing that differs us from matter, lies in this universe. The omnipresent God that flows through everything simultaneously, and for that a person being born means that a part of this consciousness splits off and finds itself in a human being. The brain is just an antenna, or rather a recipient for it, and the more cognitive capability the brain has, the better our reception, bandwidth, and resistance. Or in other words, the ability to comprehend our consciousness. Other species of lower brain performances mostly lack self-consciousness while having the ability to feel and think for themselves. Us humans already have an understanding for ourselves because we have better cognitive abilities. And because everything is filled with a kind of spirit, it strives somewhere. Why do cells function? Do organisms start to live? Does life aspire to live on? We are such complex animals, from head to toe, with unbelievably many mechanisms to make living possible. It just can't happen by accident, but there must be a reason, a power, something that strives to prosper, that our place in God. While many people hold an intense and deep fear of death, dying in this construct would mean that your soul leaves your body and connects with the universe once again. Now, even though it is always a part of this universal consciousness that lies within a human, it does not particularly describe a process of incarnation, and it does clearly not mean karma, as in Buddhist beliefs. This is what alleviated my fear of death when I was younger, because it also was the most logically reasonable outcome. A place that explains our soul as not good or bad, but just present, and time doesn't exist because it is everywhere, so every change is already gone through by the time it has been made. No heaven or hell, no irrational and subjective verdicts by the Last Judgment, because whether actions are good or bad does not concern the universe. It is all human interpretation. You don't exist until the end of time that never comes, and you don't exist alone, but you are a part of everything.